OFORI-ASENSO. I am your host, Dr. Pico OFORI-ASENSO, and today we are going to have another beautiful show like we did last month. Last month, we had a great session with episode 2 of Relocating to Africa and with lawyer Oni, and we the guest that we had was Ms. Joel, and Ms. Joel was basically giving us some nuggets in terms of entrepreneurship. See, plenty of times a lot of people wants to move back home, whether it be in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, whatever the location may be. But there's so many issues and concerns that comes with it. People want to do it, but they're not sure how to go about it. So today we are going to be meeting with lawyer Oni and our special guest for tonight, her first time ever on the show. Her name is Miss Cameron. So Miss Cameron will be basically our co-host for tonight. Miss Cameron, can you please put your last name next to your Zoom account so that producer can make you co-host? That way you can unmute yourself. Because sometimes we have other people with the same name on it, and we don't want to make everyone co-host. So if you can put your last name next to it, we'll be able to do that. All right, so like I was saying, today's show is going to be a very beautiful one. Relocated to Africa, episode 3, Ghana, the gateway to African citizenship. And Ms. Cameron Kaiser will be our guest for tonight. And the main person who will be navigating tonight's show will be lawyer Oni, as usual. Every month, she brings us something good with great personalities and to talk about it. So at this point, before we proceed, as we usually do, I want to take this opportunity to thank all our sponsors for supporting us and making this show a possibility. Feel Good Services, Feel Good Homes, and also Mr. Buku and Mr. Kwame Sakwa, our financial literacy gurus, for actually coming through to support us with such a beautiful sponsorship. The last but not the least is Tatupsen. Tatupsen, thank you very much. This show is strictly and highly brought to you by kind courtesy of Tatupsen. If you do not have the app by this time, again, like I said, or like I always say, you are way behind the curveball. So please download the app on the Google Play Store or from the App Store. Make sure that you sign up and put in the promo code PK, P-K-A-Y, and to get your $20 on your first transaction. If you already did it, then I will suggest that you do send the link, you do send the app to your friends and loved ones, even your enemies. Yes, let them send money back home so that friends and families back home can actually enjoy from them as well. So before we proceed, as we always do, we're always going to give Tatupsen the opportunity to give us some updates from the end. Then after that, the show will proceed from that. Then once the show is done, once the presentation is done, we'll make room for Q&A and we'll ask questions. And after that, then we can hand over to Tatupsen for the Tatupsen Focus with Uncle Jimmy. So at this point, I want to say thank you all for joining. If you just joined, please share the link to your friends and family so that they can all be a part of this. This is a very, very, very delicate topic because, like I said, a lot of people do relocate back home and end up making mistakes. And we have people, let's say, for instance, people that are American, Black Americans, white Americans, they will get to go back home, they learn the ins and outs and also all the techniques that they need, get the right people, and end up making millions of dollars back home. And you will have an indigenous person still struggling to make their way back, going back home. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to learn from each other and see how best that we can make this happen. Our special guest for today also have some great information for us in terms of anyone who's interested can also reach out to her once we go. So as we proceed, she will drop her contact information, her website, and all the good stuff. But before I do, let me go ahead and hand over the time to A-Class to give us an update from Tatupsen. A-Class, welcome to the Showtime with Tatupsen.
Thank you very much, Dr. PK. And thank you very much for always having us on this show and platform. Ebusanfo Mobia Akwaba Eba time with Startup Send. And obviously it's a special good evening to everyone across the world. And also thank you very much for making time tonight as well. Tonight we don't have much since the topic is packed and also people are yearning to hear what our guests have got for us. We'll go straight to the point. We will plead and plead with everyone on the call, listening to us and watching us that now the scammers have to keep on changing their tactics. They keep on changing their tactics. So we plead with everyone that be careful. If you get a message from anyone and you are not sure, please, if you're on the platform Friends of Startups, and call any of the administrators and confirm. Two, if you get any call from anyone indicating that there's a program or enter this code, blah, 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 and stuff, and please do not enter any code and do not give any password to anyone. Because sometimes they'll call you, trick you to get your number that was sent to your phone, to your WhatsApp. Once you give them that number, they take over your WhatsApp entirely. So please do not fall for those tricks as well. I'm glad to announce that the Discover card is now accepted. We accept Discover card on our app now. All the issues have been resolved and cleared out. So now, if anyone using a Discover card, you can put it in as a mode of payment, and it will work perfectly and smoothly. The Ghana Cedis wallet is getting closer and closer, and America, hooray, and Canada. Very soon, you guys will be having a taste of the Ghana Cedi wallet and also the normal wallet, which is your currency wallet. So the dollars wallet will be dropping in America and the Canadian dollars as well. So both wallets will be coming very soon. Hopefully, finger crossing, by the end of Q2, which is next month, hopefully everybody should have access to that. And those in the UK, the good news keep on dropping. By the end of Q2, everybody in here will have access to the TapTapSend card, and that means it allows you to use it for any other form of payments that you want, just as your normal local cards does as well. And the good news with that is you can give the details, your card details, to your employers or to your friends, loved ones, to remit you and put money into the card for you. So, Dr. PK, this is a bit from the quarters of TapTapSend, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for highlighting on the fact that the fraudsters have, magnified their skills of or their modus of operandi in terms of, um, stealing from people. So thank you for highlighting on that. And also, they will never rest. And once they're not going to rest, we also have to always improvise how we can maneuver through their skills and keep startups and their customers safe. And as you guys are doing that, thank you guys for always coming up with new ideas and strategies to inform um, the masses on how to protect their credentials and also their money. Thank you very much, A-Class. This is the update from
Thank
Startups,
you.
our proud lead sponsors for the show Time with Startups. Now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and delve into the topic for today: relocating to Africa. Relocate to Africa. And a lot of times, many people want to relocate to Africa. What are your goals? What are your plans? What are you trying to go do back home? And what are your strategies in place? We have learned over the few months from episode 1 to episode 2 strategies and tactics of how people have made it and survived back home. And if you think there's no money back home, you are lost. Miss Cameron Kaiser will walk us through some process today. But before that, let me go ahead and welcome our main guest for today, Loyoni. Loyoni, welcome to the Showtime with Tatap Sen once again. Is Loyoni on the call? Okay, so I think she's not. Um, is Cameron on the call? Ms. Cameron. I think Ms. Cameron is also not at the moment. Well, whilst we're waiting on them, I see Lawyer only joining right now. Whilst we're waiting on them, can we please take this opportunity to please share the link to fellow viewers so that we can have everyone here, please. Share the link. Producer, can you make Leonie the co-host? Uh, I think I saw Miss Cameron earlier, unless there was another camera that came on. Leonie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I'm here. Yes, she's here as well.
Okay. Producer, can you please make both of them co-hosts? Okay, Cameron is co-host right now, and you are as well. All right, can we please turn our cameras on so that we can um hey Miss Cameron, welcome to the show Time with Top Said.
Hi, good evening or afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, I think we're both gonna take good evening, and those that are different parts of the world will take the after the part. Wow, today is gonna be a great show. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited not only because I love talking about relocating to Africa. I'm a um, advent ambassador of relocated to Africa, but it's the fact that Ms. Cameron, please a little background that I had about you. Tell me if I'm wrong. You're an African American, right?
Yes.
And look at that. And we have an African American making a whole lot of money in Africa, and Africans can be seen making a whole lot of moolah. So now
I
you
don't know
can
about a
show
whole
us.
lot,
Uh,
but but
I've
but
seen
it,
your
but it is
videos.
enough.
I've seen your videos and I've seen the stuff that you're doing, and Lawyer Oni has had conversations about, things that you are doing with the family. Man, that's a great move. Like, first of all, we want to know more about you, why the move, and also what the move is, bringing to the table. So, and Ghana, thank you for adding up to the economy. That is very important. So we want to understand more about it. But before we get to you, I'll let Lawyer Oni take over from here because she's gonna be steering today's show, and she's gonna basically let you know when and how we what we want to learn from you. So, Lawyer Oni, over to
Yeah.
you. Over to
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Doc. It's always a pleasure. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. I hope you guys have missed me. I have missed you all. I am so excited today because the way this came about is actually quite interesting. I have the pleasure of interviewing, I hope, a new friend. I think someone who's quite brave and remarkable. The person's name is Cameron Kaiser. But before I introduce her, I just want to talk a little bit about the landscape that we're in right now. As many of you guys know, things are very unpredictable globally, all over the world. There's so much happening, and people are considering options. They're considering second passports, they're considering second residencies. Where else can I live outside of where I currently am? For us here in the United States, people are considering second options. So it's really great to talk about not only relocating, but relocating to the motherland and what that means, not just for Ghanaians, but people from different walks of life, people from the diaspora, and what that journey has been. So today's episode,
Leonie, since you opened the can of worm, let me go ahead and emphasize this. Next week, Leonie will be talking to us about immigration. So she has two, shows that she runs with us every month. The Relocated to Africa, and also the Only, no, Only Law. Why is that your name always getting like only, the only law? It sounds like the only law. Okay, the only law. All
because
right.
I'm the only one. No, I'm just kidding.
So
I don't know why it does that
like
to you.
she just gave a good preamble. So again, please think about what she just said. Let it ring a bell. Whilst Ms. Cameron will be talking or delving deeper into it next week when we meet with the owning law in terms of immigration, ask all those questions. Why people should reconsider different passport? Why are people casting the nets wider? Back to you, Leonie.
No problem. Thank you. So just talking about, the climate that we're in and why people are considering relocating. People are considering going back to the continent. And when I say the continent, I mean whatever country outside of their country of origin, or even not even country of origin, but just a new landscape entirely. And so that's why it's so exciting to talk today with Cameron Kaiser about her experience relocating to Africa and Ghana. I had the pleasure of speaking with her oldest sister, who actually referred her to me, about her experience in Ghana and a different hat that I wear. So this is really exciting. Cameron is going to talk to us about her journey, her experience, and also specifically pathway to citizenship, her particular experience, in obtaining Ghanaian citizenship. So as you're looking at her right now, she is a dual citizen of the United States, from Texas, as well as Ghana. So I just want everybody to please give her a round of applause, because it's not easy. It
Not
is not
Before
easy.
easy.
before we keep taking the round of applause, I want to read a little bit about her real quick so that we can usher her in with that. So Ms. Cameron Kaiser is a certified international property specialist, SIPS for short. She's a licensed real estate professional in both Ghana and Texas, USA. Brokerage owner of Keys to Sankofa GH and also Keys to the City Group Texas, and co-founder and marketing manager of Building Inspectors of Ghana, BIG. I like the acronym BIG, and it's big. And she's doing big stuff. Okay, bars. Since relocating permanently from Texas, USA to Ghana during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, Ms. Cameron has dedicated her work to helping others navigate relocation, real estate investment, due diligence, and also sustainable living in Ghana with confidence and clarity, you can tell. In 2024, she proudly became a Ghanaian citizen. Oh, wow, she's been in Ghana for 2 years. That's good. Further strengthening her commitment to bridging the gap between Ghana and the diaspora community. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Miss Cameron Kaiser.
Yes. Hello, hello again.
Hello. Over to you, Miss Cameron.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. I was waiting on a question.
No, so
I
thank you
mean,
so much, Doc. Yes, over to you, Cameron. Thank you, Doc. I wanted to also play your video, but as I queue up the video, I would like for you to just say hello to everybody. We have a good time today because we're also going to talk about your journey. People can ask questions. We have about 45 minutes. So I would love for you to just, why are we here today? Just say hello, how it's been so far in Ghana, and who you're in Ghana with. Thank you.
okay, definitely. Thank you for the bio introduction. I think that it surmises it, but I know that it truly can't, because relocating to Ghana has been in this short 6 years that I've been here, I've accumulated almost a lifetime of experiences. So, as you mentioned, we relocated amidst the COVID pandemic. It wasn't planned. It was actually supposed to be just a 2-week vacation to kind of test the grounds and see how we can make Ghana our future home. But the Most High saw it fit that He would close the borders and not give us the option to leave, and tell us that, He has us. And so since 2020, we've been working to establish our businesses here. We came with our oldest daughter and our youngest son. At the time, our daughter was 18 and our son was 10. My son has spent, I guess, 17 now. So most of a great deal of his life here, his sentient life here. And we've just accumulated a lot of different experiences, beautiful, good, some bad, but it's life.
Before I go a bit further in terms of just your experience in terms of getting citizenship, I just want to quickly play your promo video so people can know more about you and your business.
Thank you.
to where you belong. Keys to Sankofa, we're bringing you home. Keys to Sankofa, yeah, we're bringing you home. From the past to tomorrow, where your future is grown. Keys to Sankofa, every move done right. If you're building for legacy, we got the keys to your life. We don't rush deals, we build trust. And every line check, no guesswork. All right. I hope you guys were able to see that.
I mean, I don't know, internet's so funny here. It was a little choppy, but thank you.
Okay. Were you able to see it, Doc?
Yeah, I did, but I already seen it before, so I was just putting it together.
Okay.
There's a little bit of latency in there. I was putting the
Okay.
video together in my mind.
Okay, no problem. Well, I hope that people were able to see that. And so essentially,
Okay, so people are responding that they saw it, so that's good.
okay, fantastic. So that's just a little background to give us context into, okay, great. I see people with a thumbs up. That's just a little context to give us, background into what Cameron does. Like Doc had introduced her. This is a multifaceted person who had a viable business in the United States as a real estate agent and decided to visit her sister during COVID. And during that time, she ended up, because the world stopped, getting stuck in Ghana. But she didn't just say, oh, wow, why am I in Ghana? She actually went full force with her family, her husband, her children, and not only settled in Ghana, but decided to move forward and get citizenship. So that's a huge testament to her tenacity and also the vision that she has as someone who is not of Ghanaian descent, but just decided to embrace Ghana as a second home. So the first question I want to ask Cameron, thank you so much again for being here, is what made you decide to actually move forward and get citizenship in Ghana?
So we were actually on the fence about it. It wasn't initially a priority because in our family at the time, it was a very difficult time. My mother was sick and battling cancer, and there was just a lot of moving parts that we felt we wanted to backburn the citizenship process. And we had already established bank accounts and businesses, had them registered, so it didn't seem like something that we needed to rush. But I'm so thankful for, at the time, I believe she was the secretary of AAAG, the African American Association, and then also to Mama Mulenga, who is an original founder of AAAG, who implored us to take this opportunity to get our citizenship, because it was a limited offer that the Ministry of Interior was offering, and it gave us a easier pathway to citizenship. So amidst all the chaos of planning a memorial service for my mother and all of that, we went ahead and decided to follow suit with, I believe it could have been, I think, 524 other people who made that program and apply for our citizenship.
And can you just let people know who don't know who Mama Mulenga is and the African American Association of Ghana? If you could just let people know that this is actually a resource. So what is the organization and how did you stumble upon it? How do you become a member?
So AAAG has been around for quite some time, and I don't even want to be on record telling you how long, because originally when it was formulated over 40 years ago, for sure, it was just community based. It was, just I'm looking out for you, you're looking out for me, let's check in on each other. But over time, it formalized into an actual body and board, legitimate organization. And so Mama Mulenga was one of the original founders of AAAG, and I actually met her first before I was introduced to the organization. And to date, the organization, I believe, stands strong. We're growing. I can testify that one of the biggest initiatives is participating in the citizenship drive that they did. Was a huge push and a lot of moving parts that they all worked together to ensure that we got that. So that has been the biggest benefit for me in joining AAAG, is to be part of a organized body and unify as one voice to receive our citizenship.
And so for people that are watching, AAAG stands for the African American Association of Ghana. It's a bona fide
Right.
organization over 30 years, and it is a haven for many diasporans who decide to relocate to Ghana or even to visit. And so for you, Cameron, being able to join the African American Association of Ghana, can you walk us through in terms of what is needed to become a member of the African American Association of Ghana, and how did they help you get citizenship in Ghana?
Okay, so the organization is open to members of the African American community and also friends and allies of the African American community. But I do not know the exact price, but it was very, very minimal. I think for sure under 300 CDs a year to join the organization. And that was just done through WhatsApp groups and communicating with the secretary at the time. Once you are a member, you're included in various group chats that we have on WhatsApp, where we discuss things that matter to us, community events and plans. And it's in those channels where you learn about the events and opportunities to gain citizenship.
That's fantastic. So in terms of your experience, how long did it take you to get the citizenship? Was it for you or for your whole family? And what were the steps? Like, what was involved when you actually received the citizenship, so others can, also know?
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to share that, but I also want to preface that everything that I'm saying now is not the way that it is today. It's ever evolving, and if given the opportunity, I'd like to share some of the differences between now and what I went through and what the current process is. But at the time, they just put out a call in our WhatsApp group. Anyone who is seeking citizenship should apply. We had to give copies of our passport. We had to get photo IDs. You have to have a Ghana card. You also had to have copies of your passport, like passport pictures. We had to go to the police station to get a police report, file, pull, take bio data. And then once all of that was done, AAAG really held our hand through the process, and they packaged it all over. They packaged it to the Ministry of Interior, and then they gave them back dates for interviews. So we met at the W.D. Boyce Center one day, I believe it was probably sometime in September, and we did our interviews. And so at the time, it was just my husband, my daughter, and I. Our son is a minor, so it wasn't necessary for him to do that, because once we are citizenships, we are citizens, we can apply on his behalf for his own citizenship. It was very seamless. It's one of the probably easiest processes that I've had to go through. I think getting my Ghana card for the very first time in Ghana was probably more tedious than this, because AAAG really ushered us through the process. But we sat in front of, one by one, we're called up. Actually, we were called up as a family in front of a panel of interviewers. And they asked us questions about our intentions for Ghana, how long we've been here, if we have businesses, if we speak Tree or are planning on speaking Tree, what's our favorite Ghanaian dish, and just really probing at us to see how serious we are about it. It wasn't intrusive. It was by no means an interrogation, but they vetted us, so to speak.
That's quite interesting. And how long would you say the full process took from application to approval of citizenship?
I believe it probably took about 2 months of doing the application, applying, and we did it at the tail end. So I don't know how long other applicants had been waiting, but it was like the final call. They're like, if you're serious, you need to do this. And then so we sent all of our documents and everything over. And then within 2 weeks or so, we're being called to go and have the interviews. They don't tell you right away that you're going to receive it. It's just like, okay, we'll be in touch. We'll call you, type thing. And they did message us and let us know when the date would be for the ceremony. And so from the date of the interview until the ceremony was about 3 to 4 months.
That's quite interesting. And you mentioned having a Ghana card. So do you need a residence permit before applying? Is that what the Ghana card would be?
So the Ghana card is a national ID card that really, if you want to be effective in any kind of way, you have to have here, regardless if you are a citizen or a resident or even just visiting for an extended amount of time, because that Ghana card is the only way that you can even apply for a SIM to have a working cell phone. So that is the first thing that anyone needs to have. When you're a non-citizen and you apply for it, it's $150 US. And in most cases, you'll get it the same day if you go to the right location. But that's the first step. You should, according to the protocols of citizenship, you should be a resident. But I also know quite a few people who went through the citizenship process that were not residents. We were. We actually had at the time a 3-year residency permit. So ideally, and by the protocol, you should get a residency permit. That looks like going to, for us, what that looked like was going to the Diaspora Affairs Office, getting a letter. It's like a endorsement type letter. We showed them that we own land, but you can even show that you have registered a business. You can even show that you have an apartment. You don't have to have true ownership, but you need to show intention. And then the Diaspora Affairs Office issues you a letter which you take to the immigration office, go through a lot of hoops and bounds, including physicals when it's done the right way procedurally, wait some time, and then you get your residency permit for 1 year. After you've received it for 1 year, you reapply and you can get it for 2 years or 3 years. And then after that, I believe it's a 5-year. And then after that, technically, you should be eligible to apply for citizenship. Okay. That is the normal protocol when you're not going through initiatives by the presidency.
Got it. So normally you would need a 3-year residency before you can now apply for citizenship in Ghana. Right. And how long were you and your family living there prior to participating in the program with the African American Association of Ghana?
4 years. So
okay.
We had already, we were here 4 years. We were fully vetted. I mean, in the country, we had business registered. We had already purchased land, built homes, properties on them. So we had documented proof that this was, we had good intentions for Ghana and this was our home. So we had already had our citizenship. Our residency permit.
So walk us through in terms of eligibility. You mentioned in order to know that you're eligible to apply for citizenship, you would need to prove intent. So you're saying some kind of residency, whether you own land or you're renting, maybe you have a business, maybe you have a bank account. If you could just walk us through what some of the documents or proof that you needed in order.
Okay, so yeah, sure. So to get even to get a bank account, you need to be a resident. So it's not something that you can do and get on with just a visa. So the steps look like having your residency permit. And in order to get a residency permit, again, just showing your intention and how deep your roots are planted in Ghana. And this is the way it's supposed to work. This isn't the way that the process worked for the group that I was in. I know some people who that just wasn't the case, and they were fortunate enough to be a part of our group, even though they may have been to Ghana, this for 1 year. There were people in our group who weren't fully established here, but they wanted to be. But the way that it should work is that, yeah, you should already had been a resident for at least 3 years. You should pass a police background check in Ghana and in your home country and state. Go through, submit bio data, do an interview, intake, and that was pretty much it at the time when I received my residency. But there's been added steps since then.
And how much was it in terms of costs, like fees?
I believe for our family, it was very minimal. I don't believe we paid an application fee because of this initiative. So instead, we had to pay for our background check, and we needed to renew our AAAG membership. I think it was actually expired when we first started. But in order to get on the list and have them usher us through, you needed to be an active member of AAAG. So I would say at the time it was less than 200 or 300 CDs for us. Today it's a completely different story.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna get into like today, just kind of like still talking about your experience as, an African American, a Black American receiving Ghanaian citizenship. And for what some don't know, what Cameron took part of was this historical Beyond the Return initiative that the former president was pushing and highlighting. And it was a ceremony in which citizenship was given to over, I believe, 500 people from the United States, from the African diaspora that you were able to participate in. Yes, that's awesome. To be a member of the African American Association, do you have to be African American?
No. So you in order to be a president, you're supposed to be an African American, but to be a member, so they have ally type memberships. So no, anyone can join as long as they are a true ally. But to hold certain positions, you need to be African American.
So upon getting your citizenship, your Ghanaian citizenship, what has that opened? What opportunities have opened up for you since now being a dual citizen of the US and Ghana?
I guess it definitely gave us a new sense of true ownership, but before having our citizenship, without being a citizen, you cannot be the main stakeholder in your business. So when you're registering a business, that means you need to find someone that you trust, a Ghanaian, to be the main executor of your business, which I've heard horror stories and challenges with that, but we were blessed enough to have a really good friend to do that for us, and he's done it for 3 of our businesses. Yeah. But once we became citizens, we were able to go and have the documents rewritten so that we actually own that. Other differences is, the ability to own land in the period of time. When you are a non-citizen, the most you can receive is a 50-year land lease, whereas citizens can have up to 99 years land lease. And so for many people, that looks like going back and trying to get your documentation changed so that you can extend. This is not something that you definitely don't have to worry about in your lifetime when it's, as far as renewing.
That's quite amazing. That's amazing. So in terms of business opportunities, it's unlocked business opportunities for you and your family.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's given us more assurance in our business.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't go as far as maybe to say that it's unlocked because we had already established the businesses, but it's given us a stronger footing and ownership of them. So if you're not starting from behind like we did and you get your citizenship first, then you can have the advantage of already having that claim and having those opportunities for you, right away.
I want to talk about a little bit about business in Ghana, and then we'll go back to the citizenship pathway as of now. So the ways in which people can receive citizenship in Ghana. But let's just talk about the fact that you were able to go to Ghana, start businesses, and then even receive your citizenship. It says a lot about Ghana in terms of how Ghanaians perceive and receive foreigners. Would you say that Ghana is a viable place to do business, whether you are Ghanaian or of another nationality?
I want to be as transparent as possible.
Please,
Um,
please.
I think that Ghana has a lot of opportunities, and if you are solution based and you are diligent and do your proper research, then yes. It What was the word that you used for having a business here?
Would you say that it's viable?
Well, yes, then it's viable. Yes, if you do your proper due diligence and you are solution based oriented, then it can be viable. But there's a lot of pitfalls and traps and scams that many of us from the diaspora encounter, and our businesses do not work out. And I would have to say that happens more often than not, unfortunately.
So in your situation though, would you just say it's luck that you were able to go to Ghana, open up two businesses, integrate into society, be able to even give back? What I didn't tell audience is that your husband also has a business as well in which he helps in terms of compliance and ensuring that construction is built correctly. So these are wonderful initiatives that's helping the economy. So even though it's risky, would you say that you were just lucky, or is there a system to this? If someone is watching right now and they're like, I live in Canada, I want to relocate to Ghana, I live in Alabama, I want to get out of the US, and I think Ghana is it. What advice would you give them? Is there a system, or do you think that you were just lucky?
I
Because
would
you live in
never ever,
Ghana.
I would never ever use the word luck to
Okay.
describe the success that we have here in Ghana. It is completely ordained by the Most High that we are here because we were called to be here, and He's also fit for us to have these opportunities. And we were blessed enough to have the discernment to listen and to follow the steps. I'm an avid believer that you need to be called to come here opposed to just coming here based on emotion. But not everyone is called. You may have emotions and you may have good intentions, and that can still be very successful as long as you execute due diligence and work slow and take your time to really navigate the lay of the land and connect with the right people.
That's interesting that you say called. Why do you say called versus this is the steps that you take and anyone can succeed if you take these steps?
Um, we were called because this relocating to Ghana, or just exiting America. I'll start there. Exiting America was something that my husband and I spent many late night hours just talking about, but we never had a plan.
Mm.
Yeah, we never planned, we never even saved for it. We just knew that we were not supposed to be there. And we had full faith that when it is time, the Most High will provide that pathway. And when I say that, He literally closed down the borders and create, and there, you know, that's why we're here. I mean, even visiting my sister who happened to be here, those were all steps that I feel he had ordained and laid in advance while we were still pillow talking about the idea of just leaving the country. But there are people, and we know very successful people who they may not have that connection, or they may not be receptive to the connection and that call. They may not even know that it is a call, but they think that it's just a desire. And that's okay. And they can come here and be successful too. It's just that you have to have a lot of faith, and not confuse faith with being naive. Like, you don't have to have naive faith. You just have to believe that if you're here, and the Most High has called you to be here, in our case, that that things will work out for you when opportunities arise.
So let's dig a little deeper, because even I'm looking at some of the comments. One person said, "Called by who? Is this about religion? Who called you?" Now, it could be a sarcastic comment, but I do get where that comment is coming from. Can we talk about the challenges in Ghana? Like, if you were to be completely transparent, as people who are really considering relocating, and Ghana is a hot option right now. If you are not Ghanaian, your mother, your father, your cousin, there's no connection to Ghana, and you are thinking of going to Ghana, like you and your family relocated from the United States, what are the challenges that you can anticipate people will face? And how do they make sure that they are equipped for those challenges? And you can also just talk about your own personal experience.
Yeah. I've seen many people come and leave and fail because they had this idea that they were going to move to Ghana, relocate to Ghana, and do XYZ business. And this was their very first time ever stepping foot out of their state, much less across, you know, in another continent. So I think the wise thing to do, this wasn't.
I think we're having some.
Yeah, I think her internet gave up on her.
No, it didn't give up. It'll come back. She is currently doing this call from Ghana. So let me just allow her to regroup. Let me just tell her to log off and log back in. And this is as soon as she was explaining some of the challenges.
No, I mean, this is the same thing I was going through when I was in Ghana, so I'm pretty sure it has to do with some internet stuff. But hopefully she gets back, or maybe there might be some light off, and she's just switching over power source. But then hopefully she comes back and just, you know, give us the final update out of it. I have some questions for her too, so I'll let you finish with her, and then I'll just come in.
In the meantime, what I will talk about a little bit for those who are still on the call is more so the pathways of getting the Ghanaian citizenship. Why Cameron is so unique is because she is not Ghanaian. And for many people who do have citizenship in Ghana, they are usually through birth or descent. So that's one of the pathways. And in that situation, you're born to Ghanaian parents, maybe you're born in the US, the UK, or you're able to prove Ghanaian parentage, or you have a descendant that's Ghanaian, maybe your grandfather or your grandmother. There's some kind of parental heritage. So that is how you can normally receive birth records or evidence of Ghanaian parentage and citizenship. The other way that people also receive Ghanaian citizenship is through naturalization, and that is the path in which the African American Association of Ghana was able to help and include so many participants from the diaspora to receive citizenship, I believe in 2024. And in this route, through naturalization, you're a foreign-born national, you've lived in Ghana, and you've been able to integrate into Ghanaian society. So that's what she was talking a little bit about, proving that you have a bank account, that you have a business, that you have a home, that you have property, that you're able to show that you have intent to stay and live. And so that's where the residency card comes in, living there for a particular amount of years, and then moving on to naturalize as a Ghanaian citizen. The other way in which you can also get a Ghanaian citizenship is through dual citizenship. And that's similar to just like here in the United States. And that's usually Ghanaians who also have another nationality. Maybe they have children born outside of Ghana. In this situation, okay, I think Cameron is back. Yes. In this situation, you will show that you are Ghanaian, but you want to get that citizenship because you have some kind of Ghanaian heritage. So it's actually kind of similar to birth or descent. You are a national of another country, but you have some ties to Ghana. There are two other ways, but I will stop and I will go back. I want to just allow Cameron to finish what she was explaining in terms of the challenges of actually working, living in Ghana. So thank you so much, Cameron, for coming back.
Oh, sorry, I guess my computer just froze, so now I'm here on my phone.
Okay, no, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Do you remember the question that I asked prior to the small glitch? I can ask it again, or you.
Okay. I was just, I don't know how long I was talking.
No. You weren't talking for long. You weren't talking for long. So I'll just ask the question, and we have a lot of questions in the comment section, and I also want to give time for that. So essentially, I was just asking, in a transparent way, if you could just talk about if someone is watching this, they're not Ghanaian, they're thinking of relocating to Ghana, what are some of the real challenges that they will most likely face? And how would you encourage them to ensure that they're able to overcome it? Things that they should consider before relocating.
Okay, before relocating, I'm not sure if this came through. I just think that it's imperative that you come and stay for an extended period of time. And that doesn't look like staying in hotels or Airbnbs. You need to come and stay and try to live as closely integrated into Ghanaian society as possible. That was a challenge for us. The first year or 2 years, maybe more, that we were here, we were living like Americans. We're going out to eat all the time. We were paying ridiculous amounts for rent. We just weren't living realistically. And if you do that, you will quickly run out of money. You also have a false idea of what Ghana is actually about, because you could find yourself, money permitted, living here in a bubble where it seems like, there's no culture shock. But the moment that bubble bursts because of financial challenges or anything, you will feel as though Ghana has betrayed you. When the honeymoon phase is over, it'll be very difficult. So my advice would be to do not relocate abruptly, make several trips and for extended stays, make connections with people within your community like AAAG, but then also proactively work to find Ghanaians that you and befriend, ones that you can trust and create your own tribe here.
That's an excellent advice. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. I do hear that a lot. People say, oh, that's just 200 cedis. Oh, that's just $2. Oh, that's just $5. And before you know it, you've run out of all the money that you saved up for. How much money would you even say if someone wants to come and say, let's say 6 months, 1 year, how much money would you, say this is like the minimum that you should move, for this experience?
I'm not sure if I can really speak on that honestly, just because, the United States is so diverse, even in costs in the US. So, if you're looking at rent rates in Texas versus in New York, someone from New York is used to paying $6,000 or plus, for an apartment, whereas, in some parts of Texas, it can be as little as $1,200. So it all depends on what level of comfortability are you trying to maintain? Yeah. And yeah, it just depends on what level of comfortability you're trying to maintain. And my advice is make that very small, and then you can expound. Don't come trying to have an American experience in Ghana. Instead, have a Ghanaian experience. And as your money so fits, you can add on these special amenities like I hate to call AC an amenity, but it is. But you need to know what it's like to live without constant AC. Our ECG bill is more than our rent. Like what we pay monthly is at least 2 times as much as our rent, and that's because we need AC. So it just depends on what your comfort level is and what you're willing to give up.
Would you say there's a bit of tension right now with Ghanaians as well as people who are coming to Ghana, whether to reside as citizens or just to visit? There's issues about the cost of living, how this influx of, I would say, foreigners is making it very expensive to live in places like Accra, for example, as well as taking opportunities, jobs, etc. What do you have to say about that as someone who left the United States and went to Ghana and is now a citizen of Ghana and you don't have Ghanaian heritage?
It's interesting because I hear that a lot in several groups that I'm in, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, and I don't know if I'm just being sensitive, but it seems as though specifically African Americans are the target of these type of accusations, opposed to the Lebanese, the Chinese, or anyone else that wants to come here. And we're such a small minority. So it kind of seems like we are being singled out and blamed about these high costs, things, housing, the high cost of housing. But I'm an agent, so I also know that the market determines the price. That's typically how it goes. But because there can be like a disparity a little bit in how we value money versus how a Ghanaian might value money, it's the landlords that are doing this to the industry. It's not us. We're paying the price that is listed, that's there. So, I can understand where they're coming from, but I don't appreciate or understand Black Americans getting the brunt of that accusations, because for the most part, we come here and we try to acclimate and live as closely integrated into the culture as we can.
And what would you say the pricing is for real estate, being that you are a real estate agent, a real estate professional? If you wanted to rent in Ghana versus buy land versus purchase a house that's already built, maybe in an estate. And I'm going to use Accra and then maybe Tema for an example. Can you just let people know what that comparison will look like?
It's so amazing because two people with two different accents, or two people with two different levels of patience, can have completely different experiences and have a very similar product. So, first of all, when I'm a member of the Ghana Real Estate Professional Association. I just actually ended my executive board seat this past year. And part of that was helping to develop the real estate agency bill. We were instrumental in helping to formalize what transparency and ethics looks like in the real estate profession. part of that includes making sure that properties aren't listed. It's illegal to list properties in US dollars. It's not enforced, but it's illegal. So if you're coming here and if you can be patient and insist on not viewing, even entertaining any properties that are priced in US dollars, then you are ahead of the curve there and will probably make a much better financial decision when you're buying, renting, or investing, or even building, if you make sure that everything is contractually written and done in CDs. But when you don't do that, one person living in Accra, and I'll just speak like for East Lacan, which is just, it's not the center of Accra, but it's Accra for all intents and purposes. But you'll have someone paying $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment that has a fitted kitchen, ACs. It's in a gated compound or gated community. Whereas where we stay, we pay 4,000 cedis for the same thing. And to some Ghanaians, that still might actually be high. We might have gotten a Bruni price even at the 4,000, but we also understood that there is affordable housing available. So we have an apartment that we rent because we spend quite a bit of time in Accra. But then for like our land purchase in the eastern region, we purchased this just a little under an acre. That was almost 6 years ago. I believe we didn't spend more than $1,200 US dollars. It was priced in CDs. I don't remember what the price was, but when we withdrew, it was less than $1,200 US dollars for those plots of land that we purchased. So it's about being patient and connecting with real professionals who want to work ethically and in alignment with the real estate agency bill and not paying in dollars. And also we're blessed enough for the apartment that we have here, which is also a part of the law, that we only pay 6 months in advance, whereas it is not uncommon for landlords to ask for a year or even 2 years in advance, which is illegal. But if you come with the money, if you say, oh, I'm only going to pay 6 months and someone else is willing to pay 12, that's what the landlord's going to do. But if you stay firm on what your rights are, you're the one that has the power because you have the money, and you don't have to accept the first thing that comes across, and you will find affordable land, property to purchase or rent.
But this patience is what? 3 months, 6 months? How long would you say this patience is? Because definitely people are gonna get ripped off. For the most part,
Yeah.
maybe. And when I say ripped off, I say that with the context of you're most likely gonna be billed higher, not necessarily scammed, but you probably will get a higher bill. So how long would you say this patience is?
I think for renting, if you connect with the right professionals, we're talking maybe 2 months, a month for renting. For buying land, the due diligence aspects as far as making sure lands are registered and getting all the necessary documentation. I mean, that could take 3 to 4 months. The same with, if you want to be very responsible, the same with purchasing a pre-existing property. The due diligence could take like an additional 2 months or so. And that's after you've already found the property. But finding the property is its own battle.
So you would recommend people coming brand new to Ghana, maybe having enough money to stay like in a hotel, somewhere comfortable, as they look for something that's permanent, and giving themselves enough time?
I would recommend that someone coming from the US call me so that I can help navigate something that's within their budget and in accordance with the law, so that when they get here, we already have a few properties that they can consider to rent. I wouldn't encourage someone coming to stay in a hotel for the 2 months or so, not even an Airbnb for the 2 months. But if you're unfortunate enough to not get a hold of someone like me, then your best bet might be an Airbnb, booking it for 2 weeks, and then connecting directly with the owner to work out something for an extended stay at a reduced price from Airbnb until you can navigate properly. But if you come here and stay in hotels, yeah, you'll run out of money before you'll even look at your first home. And if you work with the wrong professionals, you'll spend money going to just view properties. Many agents are charging showing fees just for them to show you a home that isn't even of an interest to you. Maybe you saw a couple of pictures or something like that, so they get itinerary, and now you're paying 200-300 CDs to look at a home, and you're doing that for 20 homes. And honestly, that's some agents hustle, just showing homes. So yeah, you want to have patience, but you also want to try to connect with real professionals from the jump.
And it's interesting, definitely. And we're going to include your information so people can connect with you. Another issue too, Cameron, is the fact that a lot of African Americans, and not just African Americans, people from the diaspora, they say, hey, I've been scammed. I bought this, property in Cape Coast, and I want to live in Accra or somewhere in the Volta region, for $200, and they didn't know. What would you also say about that regarding due diligence for people who are relocating? Should people just jump from the jump, purchase property, purchase land as a way to show that they have connection to Ghana? We talked about the citizenship pathway, and that's definitely a way to show intent is having land. Or would you say people should come and really check the scene first before purchasing property like land?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, you can get this letter from the Diaspora Affairs Office with just showing a tenancy agreement. So it's not necessary to just go gung-ho and purchase land or buy something. But I think it is important to know what is your goal. I mean, with my clients, there's different ones. Some of them, they're planning on relocating, but in the future, but they want to go ahead and have something now, and they want to use it as an investment tool, an Airbnb or short term, and then when they come into town, they have a place to stay for free. That's smart. But then there's other ones that want to come and fully immerse and live here full time immediately. So you have to know what it is your goal is. If it's for investment, that's a completely different avenue than the person who wants to build a life here and have their own home. And then if you're buying a property, like a pre-existing property, you definitely want to take time, because these homes, even though they may be, they'll say they're new, coming from an inspection point mind frame, no property is technically new in the way that we think of it in the U.S., because homes in the U.S. can be built in 3 to 6 months, whereas homes here are taking 3 or 6 years. So the foundation might be 6 years old, and the roof might be 1 year old, and these are all things that are going to interfere with how new the property is.
This is very interesting. There's so many questions that, we can really stay on, but I do want to just kind of tie it back to the citizenship aspect. And then I would like for us to take some questions from the audience. So when you were gone, I was just kind of going over the different pathways for obtaining Ghanaian citizenship. We talked about the dual citizenship. This is mainly for people who are already Ghanaian and they have citizenship in another country. We talked about naturalization aspect, and that's a pathway in which someone like yourself can become a citizen after integrating into the Ghanaian life and culture. We talked about birth or descent, and that's usually people who either their parents or grandparents are Ghanaian and they can trace that to get citizenship. We also have registration, and with the registration, this is usually when you're married to a Ghanaian, there's some kind of close connection. Maybe you're married to a Ghanaian national, and so that's a way in which someone can obtain citizenship. And there's also the right of abode, which is also a way in which you would have qualified, Cameron. And that's usually, it gives certain people, especially people of African descent in the diaspora, the legal right to live in Ghana. And that was through that special program initiative with the right of return. So these pathways are some of the ways in which people can actually get citizenship in Ghana, even though we know that the most popular one is being of birth or descent. So I want to just kind of allow our co-host, Doc, if you can get on. There are quite a few questions, and I want people to have the opportunity to answer these questions. I have
Well,
the opportunity to answer.
thank you very much, Ms. Cameron. You just give us a good overview of what people need to see from a different perspective. Before we go to the messages, since Leona is the only person with a hand up, I will ask Leona to unmute yourself. Tell us where you call it from and your question. Then after that, we're gonna go read the questions.
Hi, I'm Leona, and I'm actually calling from Texas, which is in the U.S. for those that doesn't know. And my question is, so a couple of years ago, I visited Nigeria and I completely enjoyed the experience, but I was like, Nigeria is a little bit crazy for me. So I was like, let's look into African country that's more calm and pace. And I picked Ghana as one of the countries that I was interested in as far as relocation in the future. And so I started doing a little bit of research, but I'm kind of like a person that kind of act fast also. So as the other young lady was talking, I realized I already started the process to purchase land with a different real estate agent. So I guess my question is, everything had looked like it was authentic. They sent me like the contract for the purchase of the land, but I realized I paid significantly more than what she paid for a plot of land. And so, but the agreement was I was supposed to purchase a plot and then purchase a second plot because I was trying to get like an acre of land. So I wanted to know, how would somebody be able to, I guess, from the US, be able to verify whether whether they're being cheated as far as the price that is quoted, because the listing was listed in Ghana cities. So I thought it was reasonable compared to prices in the US. I didn't realize until we were having this conversation. Yeah, I paid almost 3 times what she paid.
Okay, so before I let Cameron comes into the play, Leona, thank you very much for your question. So this is how Ghana works when it comes to plot of lands and the prices. So I, for once, live in East Legon Hills, right? A plot of land in East Legon Hills ranges from $60,000 to about $100,000, depending the proximity of East Legon Hills that you are. Somebody can even sell it to you more than that. And we all live in the same neighborhood. We're probably like 5 minutes away from each other, and one is costing $20,000 more than the other. Now, when you drive down 10 minutes to Adjungano, which is also an aspect of East Legon or a subset of East Legon, you can buy a plot of land in Adjungano for about $200,000 to $150,000. Again, depending on what part of Virginia you are. When you go to East Legon, you're having lands costing over $200,000, or let's say even some 300,000, depending on the heart of East Legon. Transaco, same thing. When you go to Cantonment, which is the most expensive place to get a land in Ghana, you can look at 500,000 to even in some part of Cantonment, right? There are no lands to sell. People are actually buying an old house worth of maybe $1.5 million, break it down and rebuild on that. So now in the eastern region, Ebri to be specific, right, is a beautiful place to live. The weather is different. You can drive 10 minutes off Ebri and everything is different. And you can drive 10 minutes from Accra into Ebri and you're having all this beautiful serene, the weather, it's just beautiful. And plot of lands may be a little bit cheaper, but Ebri is strategically developing its place. So the purpose of it having a low pricing is to invite investors to come. With some time, Ebri is going to be a hot cake, and a lot of people will be struggling to get it. So what most people do is they get Oyarifa, then later on move, because from Oyarifa to Ebri is like 5 minutes up the hill. You're right there. And it's like I'm in Accra at the same time I'm in Ebri, kind of like I can go to Ebri, have a good time, and come back home and sleep. I can drive down to from Oyarifa to Adenta. I'm already in the heart of Accra and already doing some other stuff. So it's not a specific price tag for all lands. And again, some people have farmlands. The farmlands, are relatively cheaper. So, and you may have somebody who is just selling their own personal land, and they want to give you a price they want to give you, based on how much they feel like the land is worth it. So, I would not necessarily say that you were cheated unless you're able to tell exactly how much you bought it and the location. Then relatively, we can say that is a little bit pricey for that area, or maybe that you actually got a good deal for it. Cameron, is there anything you want to add to that?
Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Okay. So the way that I handle it, I mean, you're absolutely right. The land varies based off of its location, proximity to entertainment and things like that. But there are valuers here. So in cases where we're not sure, we have colleagues that we work with that will do valuations. They can give you an idea. They're looking at, they try their best to collect data on previous sold properties or land and determine a value. And they can do that both with pre-existing buildings. They can do that with raw land as well. But at the end of the day, my experience is that Ghana is a very, what's the word? It has a real bargaining type culture. So the price is never the price. They set the price and we're just so used to going into a store, seeing the price tag, and whatever the price is, that's what we pay. But everything is negotiable. Almost everything is negotiable here in Ghana, especially as it relates to real estate. So unless you saw that it was advertised for one price, which I think you mentioned, Leona, is that you saw that the agent charged something else, and in the industry that's called a top off, which is unethical. So it sounds like there was a price and then they knew that you would pay X amount more. So you paid the difference and the agent got to possibly keep the difference. That's what I think I'm hearing from you. That happens. That's why it's really important to have a trusted agent and take your time and do as much research as you can. But at the end of the day, I mean, the prices are negotiable, so you don't have to accept the first price that someone gives you. But also when it comes to real estate, the owners set it, and some of them will sit on it, and the price is the price, and they'll wait for the right buyer who has that amount to come pay it. So.
Yeah, and I think you said it. So one thing that most people always look at it as the fact that the valuer has a fixed price for that. I mean, a price that the thing the values based on the comps that they render. Like here in America, right? If you want to go get a house in the neighborhood and the person that you try to sell their house more than what you think is worth because of the home improvement, appraiser can tell you that no, this house cannot go above that price. But in Ghana, you have 4 houses lined up, and one is costing twice more than the other ones, and they all kind of look the same. And again, that is how they try to sell it. But then again, there is how things are set up, and there is how people want to uh, um, do this stuff. So that can be a little bit challenging. Liz asked the question: you need a Ghanaian name. What day were you born, Cameron? Maybe you might already have one. So I will not say you do need one until you tell us you don't have one.
Yeah,
You
no,
have
I'm Ajua.
Ajwa? Okay.
I'm
So
Ajua Jemfua.
Ajwa what?
Jemfua.
Oh, Jemfua. Ajwa Jemfua. Okay. So that's an Ashanti name, right?
Yeah, so we're so blessed that the land that we end up buying, he was a colleague of mine through GREPA, and he was showing us properties, land, all this different stuff, every place that we said we were considering to purchase. And then finally he said, come to my hometown and see, just see how you like it. And this was in the eastern region, not in Kumasi or anything, but we went to the eastern region, not far from Koforidua, met his family, and they literally adopted us. We had a whole like ceremony where we slaughtered a goat. Their grandmother became my son's grandma, the aunt, uncles, like they really adopted us into the family. And grandma, she's Ashanti. So that's where that comes from. My husband, he took on her husband's name. So I took on the mother's, the matriarch's name. And then my husband took on the father's name. And so his name is Nana Yawasari.
Nana Yawasari. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. What is the name of the hometown in the eastern region? Do you remember?
I rather not say. But right. I like to keep my privacy, but it's just not far. It's not far from Koforidua.
Okay, cool. Because I heard you say something like Jurapa, so not Jurapa, Jumapa, something like that. But then, okay, all right. Tony says, what was the program that granted you citizenship?
So we mentioned that earlier.
The AAAG.
Yes, so that's the African American Association of Ghana, and they're a very lively group over 30 years in Ghana. And so that, along with the initiative at the time with the former president, with the Year of the Return, there was a push to have people of African descent become citizens in Ghana. So it was a ceremony, a huge one, in which over 500 diasporans were able to obtain their citizenship.
Okay. Simeon asks, would the AAAG having a group and organizing themselves as what is the ultimate goal for them? Is it to help people integrate into the general Ghanaian society and become fully Ghanaians, or there will be a time where they will isolate themselves as AAAG? Is Ghana their primary home or secondary home? How are the kids adopting? Where will they prefer to live, Ghana or USA? I think this is a very complex question, or well compact question.
Sorry, the volume is so low. That's why I'm having to go off camera so I can just put my ear closer to the phone. But AAAG's mission, as I understand it, is to create a safe space for African Americans as we gather our bearings. And they make every bit of effort to help us integrate into society and also give us a voice, especially in the environment where with the Year of Return we're being called here, we want to be represented. So they find a good balance between helping us maintain our identity, but also integrating into Ghanaian culture. Because we can be Ghanaian, and Airway is Ghanaian, you know what I mean? A Ga is Ghanaian, but they're allowed to still be their own tribal, have their own tribal culture. And so I think it's important that as African Americans, we don't abandon that. But we still call ourselves Ghanaian if we choose for this to be our home. So it's about still maintaining an identity and our culture, and giving us a voice while helping us to strengthen our roots in Ghana and claim our right to be here.
All right. On YouTube, Albert Allen says good evening, very common and laughing. Back to Zoom. Theory Budag, I'm pretty sure it's an abbreviation for something, but Theory says for residency application, how easy is it to get a letter from diaspora office at Jubilee House?
The letter from the diaspora office was the easiest thing to do. You know, we went in on a weekday. Now, their office hours can vary. There was a few times I think we might have went and they were closed, or, you know, someone wasn't there. But if they are in office, it was relatively easy. We took our passports, we took our indenture, and then we got the letter the same day. And there was no cost associated with it at all.
And where do you get the resident permit, the letter, application letter for the resident permit too?
Sorry, say that again.
The application letter for resident permit, where do you get that?
Oh, we did that through the immigration office. So you get the diaspora letter as like an endorsement, and then you go to the immigration office to complete the rest of the application and process.
Do you have to also put out any statement in writing? Theory wants to know.
Say again?
You have to put in a statement in writing, like, you know, a statement states anything about you, yourself, or who you are. Do you have to put anything in writing?
We didn't, but we also did have what is the word?
Like an
Say?
An endorsement. You were endorsed by.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. I think the first time we did it with individuals. So we had people vouch for us. They endorsed us. Then when we went back to do the renewal for the 3-year, we did that through the Diaspora Affairs Office.
Okay. Verna Razor says good evening, Verna, good evening to you as well. So Cameron, I would suggest that while I'm reading the questions, if you don't mind putting your contact information there so that people can actually reach out to you in case of any clarification, and also if they need you to lead them in terms of getting something. I know Lawyer already.
I've dropped it in.
Okay.
I've dropped in the 2 websites, but you can also type in, your number. This is WhatsApp. This is your WhatsApp number.
Yes.
Okay, so they will have to do the +234 or +233. Sorry.
Ooh.
233.
You just send us to Nigeria. All right. So Kat says, question for Cameron. Did she and her family give up their U.S. citizenship? How did they manage taxes in the U.S. and Ghana?
No, we have dual citizenship. We have not given that up. There was talks, I think, even about Trump saying that, or not necessarily Trump, but I think there's talks about getting rid of that eligibility of being able to hold dual citizenship, and that's a bridge that we'll have to cross when or if that happens. As far as taxes, I mean, I'm still responsible for them. So I pay them in the US for my US earnings. And the way that it should work is Ghana also wants you to pay taxes on your US earnings that you have them here. And then we also pay taxes on our businesses here. So, you know, you can't escape them. You're going to pay taxes here. You're going to pay taxes there. And that's just the way it is.
All right. So this question, Verna wants to know if we will discuss residency, but Verna, she already did. So we're gonna go back to the second question. I've had an apartment in Ghana going on 3 years. I'm still not there full time. It's baby steps for me. My stays are 2 months, 3 months, now 6 months. I'm not at the full time stay years. I think she wants to stay yet. Ghana isn't for the weak of heart. Would you agree to that statement?
Oh, yes. I mean, you can't be too sensitive. And you have to be very tough skinned, um, and have a lot of fortitude. So yeah, it's not easy, yo.
It's not easy. What
Yeah.
does it make it easy though? Why is it not easy?
It makes you challenge everything that you
Don't you
feel.
think it's just culture shock?
There's definitely a culture shock. And it challenges what you think is right versus just different. Coming from America, we tend to think that everything that is the way that the systems that are set and everything, the way things are done, that's the right way to do it. So when it's not done that way, then that means that it's wrong. But it takes some adapting to also realize that there's not just a right way. Sometimes it's just a different way.
Mm.
And that takes a toll even on your ego, because you just believe and know that this is the right way to do it and that everyone should just get the idea. So you have to humble yourself, or you won't get anywhere here if you want to stand on your principle of what is right versus what is different.
Can I tell you something? That's exactly how Ghanaians feels when they also come to America, because they are set in a certain way and they think that is the right way. So now when they come to America, they have to understand that it's not necessarily the wrong way, but it's a different way of getting things done. So I'm glad that you are experiencing that as well. So now, people like you get tend to understand a lot of Africans, especially Ghanaians, in America more than the regular African American. Do you agree to that statement? Because you've tested both words now.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said because you've tested both words, so you understand how Africans or Ghanaians behave or challenge some of the status quo in America because they think is the wrong way instead of looking at it as the different way. Just like you are, you tend to struggle with that in Ghana as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's something that we work on daily.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abby says
I
if a
mean,
landlord,
say
go ahead,
again.
go ahead.
I mean, just yesterday at a Cross City Hotel, I had an issue of the way that I think they should run their business. And they're trying to explain to me that it's their protocol. I think that there's a more efficient way and a better customer service oriented way that they could handle me. But then I also understand that there's a difference, and that sometimes America, our perspective is different even from the whole rest of the world. It's not just a difference between African culture and American culture. Sometimes American culture is uniquely different from the rest of the world, because there'll be a South African white man standing right next to me experiencing the same frustration, no problem. It could be a French white person is seeing the same experience, having the same experience that I'm having, but it's not it's not a bother to them, or they don't see anything wrong with it. So yeah, I mean, it's an everyday struggle trying to navigate what you think is right versus what you think is different.
And did you say Accra City Hotel?
Yeah, I had that. Yeah, I stayed yesterday. My husband, I was under a lot of stress, and he checked me into the hotel there, and um,
Are
I'm
you talking
glad
about
that he did.
Are you talking about
Huh?
Lancaster Hotel?
No, a Cross City Hotel. It's right behind Move and Pick.
Oh, okay. Because back in the days, Lancaster was called Accra City Hotel. Then it got moved to Golden Tulip, and now it's
Oh,
Lancaster.
okay.
I didn't know that they have another Accra City Hotel somewhere in this. I was
Mhm.
like, where did you get that name from? Because that's very old school. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Abby says if a landlord is breaking those laws, can renters do anything or go to any authorities about it? Does the real estate association discuss enforcement? Is like rental control or rent
Yeah,
control?
there's rent control. There's
Yeah.
organizations for it, but I was just in a WhatsApp group where someone said, I just filed a complaint with rent control on my landlord, and he had to pay a fine of, I think it was 500 CDs, and now I'm out on the street. So, but basically what he was just saying is that, yeah, I mean, you can go tell at your own risk. and there's not, I don't believe that there's true enforcement, but it's a good start. So the better thing to do is just to do all the due diligence and everything up front so that you're not having to deal with it later after you've already paid all the money. They want you right now, rent control wants you to go and report landlords that are charging over 6 months, but it won't get you the apartment. So
Okay.
It's
Verna
also
says,
hard to, just to go off of what Cameron was saying, it's also difficult to enforce. There are a lot of these governing bodies, but it's the enforcement aspect that's hard. You can report it, but sometimes it's difficult to enforce it with the landlord. So that's just keeping that in mind. Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
okay, Verna says Airbnbs are cheaper than hotels. That's why you need to go to Feel Good Homes. Theory says, is it difficult to sell a house in Accra? I'm pretty sure that's for you, Cameron.
is it difficult to sell a house in Accra?
Mm-hmm.
You mean like as you're the owner and you're trying to sell the home?
Yes, I think that's what he meant. But
Homes can sit on the market for years here in Ghana. It's all about the level of marketing that the agent's willing to do, and then knowing the seasons and when people are buying and making sure that you're pricing it right. So, in Texas, homes sit on the market for sometimes 30 to maybe 60 days. But then there's also listings that we've had here and colleagues have had here that sit on the market for a year. So it can be hard. It can be a challenge with pre-existing homes because new ones are being built or being completed every day. So you with your pre-existing home are competing against new constructed projects. And because there are mortgages here for citizens, but they're predatory, in my opinion. Not a lot of people have lump sums of money to just pay up front for a property. So what I'm seeing with my buyers is that they rather maybe purchase something off plan, which allows them to make payments over the course of the build, over the course of 3 to 5 years, little by little, than to try to find a way to come up with $200,000, at one time.
You're muted, Doc.
thank you.
No problem.
Is the way he's. Verna says she's done that and it wasn't worth having the agent that charges showing fees. Yao says you haven't answered her question. What question?
You answered it. It was earlier on regarding I think someone had an issue. They felt like they were overcharged for property that they purchased in Aburi, and then you were given the comparison.
Oh, okay. And Bozo says land in Pediasin nowadays costs over 2 to 3 million cities, and that is about 200 to 300,000 Ghana cities. And I wouldn't doubt it. Verna says, what cameras aim for? Okay, that has been shared. Tony says, I understand that the new president, Mohammed, I don't know who that is. The president's name is not Mohammed. Please, the Beyond the Return program after the guy named I show speed received his citizenship last fall. The president said he was passing the program to make it easier. Or Mahama, I think that's what he was trying to say.
Yeah,
Easier to apply. Do you know if this program has restarted and what difference with the old program and the new? If it is indeed easier to use the Beyond the Return program to gain Ghanaian citizenship. Thanks.
I just want to
Yeah.
jump in there real quick to just be clear. The Beyond the Return is not a citizenship pathway. The Beyond the Return initiative with the former president was a way to reach out to the broader diaspora and engage with them. And it was also tied to tourism. So there were so many different facets. Yes, people did obtain citizenship, Cameron being one, but just be clear that it's not a jump start to getting citizenship. So that's one aspect in terms of the program being reinitiated in this current administration. Yes, there was a time I believe that it paused just to kind of streamline applications, but from reports, it has resumed. But yeah, so that's what I just wanted to add. But Cameron, please, you can add your input.
Sure. So it has changed. I think um, when Muhammad is referring to making the process easier, I don't think that he's talking about the process that my family went through and the process that maybe 3 other groups might have went through. I think that it is easier, generally speaking, and it's targeted opposed to the traditional route of citizenship that maybe a European might experience. So it is easier in that regard. But for people like myself who are on the ground here, we see the difference between the initiative that we were part of and the current one. And the difference in it is a lot more tedious and a lot more expensive. I'd say that's probably the biggest complaint right now. In fact, there's an active petition going on that they're writing to Mahama and the administration to get them to reevaluate this new program that they've, excuse me, the new steps to citizenship, because we feel as though it's not in alignment with the call for us to repatriate. So like I mentioned, when we got our citizenship, we didn't have an application fee. We just paid for our background checks and stuff like that. But now it's a 25,000 CD fee per applicant. And there's no incentive for families. So if you're a family of 4, you're going to be spending almost $10,000 just, on the application. And that's not a guaranteed thing. There's other issues and parts of the. In fact, if you like, I have time, or if you like, I can read to you what the or let me try to share it I'll share it in the chat.
Because we have about 8 minutes to wrap up the show with everything.
Sorry, what was that?
I was saying we have about 8 minutes to wrap up the show.
Okay, I'll just share it. I'll share the petition in the chat so that you can understand and see kind of what the differences are. But the key difference is that there's a substantially more expensive application fee, and that's not a guarantee. The process has seemed kind of rushed. So for example, we've had clients who wanted to get on, I think we had one in February. The last one was in February. And at the last minute, they told us, oh, it's going to be 25,000 CDs. And so they paid the application fee. They also wanted a background check from the states, which I think is fair and right to do. I don't think that was a process on our end. We had to have a background check in the states unless they pulled it on their own. But if you have if you have a criminal record in the states, then you're automatically disqualified. And as a Black American, I think that is a hurdle because many Black Americans have been either unjustly criminalized or over criminalized, or they've paid their debt to society. But this blanket rejection on a criminal record is going to hinder people who could make a viable contribution to Ghana. So yeah, I mean the 25,000 CD, then and then just the time frames. There's not clear communication on when the interviews will take place. So one of our clients, they paid the 25,000, they did the background, they did all that, and I think they were told that they'll be in touch. But the next touch that they received was that you need to come in on Monday for your interview. So they were back in the States at this time. So they had to, organize and rush to get back to Ghana to make the interview in just a short period of time. So there's some missing pieces, and it's not the most organized with the new structure that they have. But the biggest issue that our community has a complaint about is the $25,000 non-refundable application fee.
All right. So the website to get to Ms. Cameron is www.keytosankofa.com, and also you can reach them at www.buildinginspectorsgh.com. All right, and her number is +233 503 200968. The number again is +233 503 200968. And Bernard says, thank you. Ms. Crimmins also says, also follow our family YouTube channel, The Big Sankofa. Please reach out to The Big Sankofa and watch all the good stuff they're doing. I saw one of the videos was that your husband with the dreadlocks that was walking around some buildings and checking some foundations. Was that your husband? Why?
Yeah,
Why is it
he's the chief inspector of
he feels
building inspectors.
like he's already like a full-blooded Ghanaian. Like he was walking on the borders like I'm not gonna fall. I'm just gonna jump over this foundation and just tell you how horrible or how good it is. Wow, I like that. I like that. All right. Also, please click on the link to the HITV platform. Hopefully, Ms. Cameron will be a part of it so that if you have any questions or concerns, we can directly, connect you to her. This HIT platform is purposely for us to discuss topics and also get panelists on the show who are interested to be part of the show. Also, I hope A-Class will drop the link to the Friends of Startup Send where you can join in case you have any issues with your Startup Send app, or if you have any suggestions or contributions, you can also bring them on board. Very well put, Cameron, and we need AC. This is from Vernell. Tony says, yes, why is it not easy living in Ghana? Try living in South Central LA. The Bronx, everyone is carrying the gun in USA. Staying in Ghana feels safer than staying in the USA. Yes, Tony, I totally agree with you. It's very, very free to live in Ghana without having any issue with that. Theory says, yes, I am an owner and selling. I want to get rid of some of my properties. Richmond Theory, please, guys, message him. And if you need some of the properties, maybe Theory, you should call Cameron and just, get with her so that she can help you get some clients as soon as possible. So this one is the email address, and this is very important. Okay, so Lawyer Oni has this information that is helping people who wants to relocate. I'm also a partner of the African Global Consultancy, so please reach out to us at the telephone number is 833-242-4020, and the website is basically https://africanglobalconsultancy.com. And once you message that, you will be able to actually get a hold of us. I'm going to post that in the chat right now. Also, you can reach us on email us at hello@africanglobalconsultancy.com as well. And Lawyer Oni will walk you through the process, all that you need to know. We are wrapping up, ladies and gentlemen. We are definitely wrapping up, so please bear with us. Light question, Cameron. How is your tree? This is from
Kakra. I'm learning small.
Yeah, Kakra.
Someone also said, is there a progress in receiving mail in Ghana? And I think that's an interesting one because I've heard horror stories about like snail mail in Ghana. Cameron, do you want to talk about, have you actually received mail from the US? Has anybody ever mailed you a package?
I received mail maybe once through DHL, and yeah, I think once through DHL, and it went to the Ghana Postal Service office to one of my friends' postal box. He has a PO box there, and this is his words, not mine. They were trying to get me to pay extra money to get the package from them, even though all the postage, everything has been paid. And he was just saying, this is what they do. So ever since then, we haven't done that. But I've had good experiences with Temu.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ordered quite a bit of stuff from Temu. It takes some time to get here, but I get it.
Interesting. Okay, so that's good. So there is, I mean, I've definitely received like DHL, etc., but I was just talking about snail mail. And I think this is the same person that asked about having a written statement that was answered, which is yes. And then anyone that has like specific questions regarding like their real estate issues, please feel free to reach out to Cameron. The details are included below. And then in terms of general relocation, let's say even outside of Ghana, you can please feel free to reach out to us. The contact is there at hello@africaglobalconsultancy.com. That's the email, or visit the website at africaglobalconsultancy.com, and the phone number is listed as well. Please follow Cameron Sankova TV, their YouTube channel, on their journey, her and her beautiful family, on their journey in terms of relocating to Ghana, navigating a new environment, and winning at it all. It is a wonderful YouTube station. You're gonna get hooked. So please, please, when you guys get off here, feel free to hop over to her YouTube. And I think the phone number was listed. So you can definitely reach out to her on WhatsApp.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we wrap up the show. I want to say big thanks to Lawyer Oni. And like I said, next 2 weeks, we will definitely have it back for immigration purposes. And also big thanks to Ms. Cameron Kaiser for actually taking
Thank you.
time out of her busy schedule to come with us and have a great discussion and give us some nuggets. Again,
Thank you, Madasipa.
you think maybe start thinking about what to say next after Madasipa. You know what? Let's proceed. So, in case this is not going to be the end of the network, guys, please reach out to her in case you need anything. Just, set up a consultation with her. You may never know how this will save you a lot of dollars that you can waste. But we're not going to walk out of the show without thanking all our viewers from all over the world, like, USA, Canada, UK. It's late over there. Those in Dubai and those also in Ghana watching us right now. I am your host, Dr. PQ for OFORI-ASENSO. It was a pleasure doing this with you guys. But before we walk away, I will call upon A-Class to give us a final sign out with Miss Cameron so that she can know that our proud sponsors are still behind us in terms of this presentation. A-Class. A-Class or Director Danny?
I'm sorry, were you talking to me? I could barely hear.
No, I was calling upon the directors of TATUPSEN to sign you out to give us.
Good.
Is A-Class still here or Director Danny? A-Class. Well, I'm pretty sure A-Class is pretty much engaged right now. So I'll say on behalf of the TATUPSEN team, want to say thank you very much for coming and taking time out of your busy schedule. God bless you and hope to see you again right here. Leonie, what else do you want to say to
I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Cameron. I really do appreciate you. Today's episode is showing people who are not Ghanaian, people who are coming from the diaspora, our fellow brothers and sisters from the United States, fellow African Americans, foundational Blacks, whatever you identify as. At the end of the day, we are all African, whether you're on the continent or in the diaspora, and just this beautiful journey that her and her family was able to do and go to Ghana. So it is possible to relocate, and we have a living proof right here and get citizenship. So thank you so much for your time and all the knowledge that you shared. And please feel free to reach out, folks, to learn how you can do it as well, whether through her or through us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you all. At this point, we're going to hand over the whole show. This is where we sign out on YouTube and Facebook, and we're going to hand out the whole show to Uncle Jimmy for him to handle the TATUPSEN Focus with the ambassadors. God bless you all. See you.